Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Behahushai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Desolation and Restoration of Yasharahla. Those of you that have been learning for a while should know what the term Yasharahla is, and that's the Hebrew way of saying Israel, and it's a compound word. Yasharahla, Yah is he, Shar is prince, and Allah is God. He is a prince of God, or he's a prince with God, and that is our name, and that name carries a very heavy, powerful vibration with it. This is why you have many nations out there that call themselves Israelites or thereabouts, because they know that there's a heavy vibration that comes with that name, and everybody wants to be the chosen. But the true chosen of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which happen to be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, we went through a serious transformation once we got into this last captivity, because in all captivities that we've been in, we've never lost our nationality. You know, we lost different things. We lost lands, we lost loved ones, we lost goods, riches, you know, many different things, but we never lost our nationality. It wasn't until we were captured pretty much, or enslaved by Esau, that pretty much our nationality was stripped from us. I know there's accounts, I never went into it deep into it, but I know there's accounts where, you know, you had either the Mayan or the Inca, I believe it was the Mayan. They had a very documented, you know, written record history of themselves, and when the Spaniards came here, they burned those records. And the reason why they burnt those records is because if you are to justify pushing that Renaissance Christianity on someone, the only justification that you could find would be that you had to force it on them because they were savages. And how can you have savages that have written records? You know? So that wouldn't jive with their, you know, with their plans. So they had to burn those records. And they did many different similar things to all the other tribes, you know. Some they beat the nationality out of them. Some they re-educated the nationality out of them. They separated families, so on and so forth. You know, to the point where we're left stripped of our heritage, our nation, and everything else that comes along with it. When we read in the book of Ezekiel 37:1, it says, "The hand of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai was upon me, and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones." Now this valley, a valley represents low land. And the reason why it speaks about a low land is because we were brought down very low. But also because this world, or this country that we live in, you know, America, is known as the valley of the shadow of death, because it's low in morals. It's just a low land, period, although they have plenty of riches. And when you read Baruch, the 5th chapter, it tells you that those, you know, those fucking Satan is a real motherfucker. Anyway, Salaki, I'm just thinking out loud. I just lost my train of thought. So if it comes back, it comes back, Lord's will. Oh, when you read Baruch, the 5th chapter, it speaks about the valleys being exalted and the mountains and the high hills being brought down. And that's dealing with, you know, Esau and these other, you know, these other nations being brought down, and our people the Israelites being brought back up. All right, so this valley was full of bones. Now, bones represent death. Now, it's not talking about a physical death. It's talking about a spiritual death, because the scriptures also say that he that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. All right, and that's where our people are. They're in a dead state. Another part, a curse that fell upon us, that we would grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth. And pretty much that's where we've been left up to. You know, we've been left to pretty much walk in the dark and be at the mercies of Esau, you know, and his form of what God is. You know, so we pretty much was destitute until the Lord raised up a man by the name of Eldad Bivens, which the Lord inspired to teach what we teach in this day. You know, it's a beautiful thing. Then it goes on to say, and caused me to pass by them round about. So the Most High actually took, you know, Ezekiel from that time and brought him into the future, into America, to look at Jake and the condition that they were in. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry, because America is full of Jake. And everywhere you go, it's the same thing. You see the same exact thing, just like this bullshit that I'm dealing with over here. You know, everywhere Jake goes, they got to let their presence know that they get mad when you stereotype them, but then their actions are very stereotypical. You know, everywhere they go, they got to have the stupid music fucking on the last, notch on the volume, you know, to where your fucking ears are about to explode. You know, so they push that very stereotypical persona upon themselves. that they get mad when people stereotype them in that fashion. But that's what you fucking present yourself as. Wild bulls in a fucking net. You know, you got your fucking pants hanging off your ass, which that, if you knew where that shit went back to, well, the majority of you would still do it, even if you knew where it came from. You know, that was a symbol or a sign in jail that your ass belonged to somebody. Somebody was already popping you in the ass, you know, by you wearing your shit like that, so other individuals could get away from you and not touch you because you belong to somebody. You know? And some of these assholes today would still wear this shit like that, even if they knew the origins of it. But hey, whatever. It says, and he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? Right, because he saw them, they were very dry. You know, and you look at Jake is very dry. You know, for being the salt of the earth and having the great abilities that Jake has, they're very dry when it comes to the knowledge of who the Most High and Yahushai are and who they are themselves. It says, and I answered, O Lord, power, thou knowest. Now when we jump to the 11th verse, so you make no mistake about it, then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. So you know that the bones are a representation of the nation of Israel. It says, behold, they say our bones are dried and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts. Right. And the reason why I'm upset is because I'm somewhere in the cut. You know? I mean, somewhere, you know, away from everything, you know, away from, you know, and I chose this spot particularly to get away from the bullshit. That just shows you that no matter where the fuck you go, I could be inside of those bushes over there, you know, setting up and teaching, and something will come through there to you know, somebody will post up next to me just to fucking, you know, aggravate my spirit. Because Satan don't take no breaks. That's a real motherfucker right there. Anyway, let's go from there. Let's go, and this is what pretty much started this whole idea through the Spirit, you know, to do this lesson, was this scripture that I'm about to read in Hosea, the 10th chapter, you know, which I was reading through that, and as I got to a couple of the verses down towards the end, you know, I said, well, you know what, Lord's will, that'll be the lesson for the day. So Hebrews 10 and 13. But when I'm gonna read this, but then I'm gonna jump up, because jumping up is gonna go more into it. But Hosea 10 and 13, it says, you have plowed wickedness, you have reaped iniquity, right? Because like the song says, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So we had to do something in order to be in the condition that we are in. And that was we forsook the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, worship idols, and many other things. And that's why we're in the condition that we're in, suffering the curses that we suffer. But yet everything in the Bible dealing with the curses points to us as being the people of the Lord. But no, the curses don't apply to you guys. It doesn't apply to y'all. That just shows you that on every level, these fucking devils, Vocab Malone and these Edomites, these so-called white people, are racist on all fucking levels. You know? It ain't right unless it's white. You know? It says, because thou didst trust in thy way in the multitude of thy mighty men. Yeah. So you didn't trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Therefore shall a tumult arise among thy people. Right. And what is a tumult? It's a noise, a confusing noise, whether it's from a bunch of nations or a bunch of armies or whatever the case may be. And that's what happened. Our people are straight up confused, and they fell into many different mischievous things that came upon them, calamities that came upon them from these nations, because our people trusted in these nations. They said, hey, brother, he's just having a fucking ball, boy. Woo! Go ahead, live it up, motherfucker. Live it up. It says, ye have eaten the fruit of lies, because thou didst trust in thy way, in the multitude of thy mighty men. It says, therefore shall a tumult arise among the people, and all thy fortresses shall be spoiled, as Shalman spoiled Beth Arbel in the day of battle. The mother was dashed in pieces upon her children. So shall Bethel do unto you, because of your great wickedness. In a morning shall the king of Israel utterly be cut off. Right, and pretty much that's what happened. We fell as a nation. You know, so this pretty much applies to today too. You know, even though this particular point here of the king of Israel applied to back then, we could use it to today, because look at how far we done fell from, you know, back then. You know? Yep, like the brother said, that bothered me as well. I be wanting to be left alone. Yeah, the fuck alone. That's right. Yeah, man. You know, you just want to go and teach the word, you know? Now, when you're in the streets, you know, and you at the camp, that's a different dynamic, you know? But when you're teaching, you know, unless it's somebody that comes up and, you know, the Spirit have you end up teaching them, but, you know, distractions are going to be there. You know, I'm getting emotional, you know, because I just want to teach the word and be left alone. But, you know, this is a part of you know, of what it is. Yahweh Shai tried to hide and he couldn't hide, you know? Matter of fact, see, I wanted to post up in another spot too, but I wasn't sure how the reception was going to be. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to post up over here in this other spot. And if the reception is bad, then let me know, you know? So just bear with me, because this guy got Satan all over him. You know, first he was playing that stupid music, and now he's fucking super loud on the goddamn phone. And just, you know, for me not to yell at that motherfucker, I just want to get away from him, you know? Just let me know if the reception is it gets cut off, because if it does, then I'll move again. No big deal. But just let me know. You know, let me know if you can still hear me, if everything is still going. Because if it is, then we'll stay here. And I know it'll be something else, you know, coming up. So just gotta brace for it. But let me know if you can still hear me, you know, and then we'll continue the lesson on from here. All good, okay, the water. If anything happens, like if it starts cutting out or whatever, just let me know, you know, and Lord's will, I'll catch it on the comment board. All right, so now that we read that, now let's go from there. Let's go to Amos 9:11, because we pretty much fell as a people. You've read the stories, the history, how the kingdom was split, how the northern kingdom fell under the Assyrian Empire, and how the southern kingdom fell under the Babylonian Empire, and pretty much how the tribes came over here, and then the 10 tribes came over here, and then eventually Judah kept going into captivity under every nation until 70 AD. And now you see the condition that our people are in, even all the way up in 2022, in present day America and pretty much around the world. So now the Lord said this, that after our fall, Amos 9:11, it says, in that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And now, so the Lord said he's going to, matter of fact, just bear with me 1 second. Let me just pull up this phone. So like it for all the disturbances and all the, all the stopping and going, but then believe it or not, I can still hear that motherfucker's voice all the way over here. Amos 9:11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. So we fell. So the Lord said he's going to raise us back up. This is where the restoration comes into place. But the falling was so bad, the decaying was so bad that even our nationality was taken away. So everything had to be restored all over again. So much so that we had to be brought back into remembrance, and there's plenty of scriptures on that. We had to be brought back into remembrance of who we are, even so much as our nationality wise, because we were taught that we were black, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Dominican, Haitian, West Indian, and many other nationalities, many different languages that we were scattered into. So there's been the Lord totally demolished us. Like the Lord said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. We were totally destructured, from the people that we were. But now the Lord is restoring everything back. And what's being restored back now is the house of David, the tabernacles of David. All right? And that's what's going to be the ruling class in the kingdom of heaven, which is the house of David. And the house of David being established and restored, King David is going to be there also. It says, and close up the breaches, right? And close up the breaches thereof. What are the breaches? The breaches represent all the differences that the tribes have, and all of the schisms and the different partition walls that are set up between all of the tribes. The Lord is removing all that away. That's why you see Judah, and Ephraim together. That's why you see Issachar and Asher together, or the different tribes intermingling with each other in this truth, in unity, because that's the Lord removing that out of the way. And then when you go back into like the 60s, the 70s, 80s, especially, in New York, other places, but in New York, I'll speak of New York, you had Judah and Ephraim always together. They were breakdancing together back then. They were popping together back then. Pop locking and popping and up breaking and doing all that. Up rocking and all that. Then they were also rapping together, and that was all the Lord, causing that to do away with those differences. That's why Jake in New York and in the different hoods, they know who Ephraim is, and they acknowledge it. And even when I first started going to the school at One West, certain guys would give me that look, because I was lighter. But High Priest Yeshaya at the time was his name. His name. He grew up he's from Connecticut, and when he saw me in the class, he was making a statement about Caesar Borgia, and he was saying that in the Bronx they had him on the headlights, right? He said, "Right, brother," and he pointed at me. I said, "Well, I'm not sure about the Bronx. I mean, I'm from New York, but at the time I was living in Connecticut, so I'm not sure about the Bronx." I said, "But where I'm from, yeah, they have that." He said, "Where you from?" I said, "Connecticut." He said, "Where from?" I said, "Bridgeport." He said, "Can any good thing come out of Bridgeport?" Making fun of Bridgeport, but he came out of Bridgeport. But that's just the point. Jake, being among the so-called Latin tribes, they know who they are. Just make a quick point out of that. It says, "And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old." So right now it's being built as in the days of old, meaning that we're coming back to our nationality. We're coming back to our power, because we lost everything. We lost the name of the Lord, the name of his son. We lost our way, our laws. Everything. So we were totally destroyed. So now we're being restored. And going back to the book of Hosea, the 10th chapter and the 10th verse, it says, "It is in my desire that I should chastise them." This is the Lord speaking. "And the people shall be gathered against them. Then," meaning the other nations, "when they shall bind themselves in their two furrows." Now, when you look up that word furrows, right? Let's go to my other. You look up that word furrows, right? The word furrows comes from the Hebrew word ayun. Now, the Hebrew word ayun, not ayan, A-H, or it's ayun, which is eye, a physical eye, as showing mental qualities, of mental and spiritual faculties, spring fountain, right? So it's a representation of what? Of seeing eye to eye. So that's what the two furrows are, and it's painting it in the sense of farming. Let's look up the word furrows in the offline dictionary. A furrow is a long, shallow trench in the ground, especially one made by a plow. Right? You see, when you look at farmland and you see those when a tractor goes through and he leaves those marks, those long marks, those are the furrows. So the two furrows is what? The representation of the nation of Israel coming together, both of the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. And what it says is that they will see eye to eye. All right, when they shall bind themselves in their two furrows. And that's because the scriptures say that the kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. So in order for the nation of Israel to come back together, first they have to see eye to eye. And that's why the Lord set up this knowledge that we have and gave High Priest Ariah the ability to see who the tribes were and write them down. And that's why we carry the 12 tribe sign out to the camps, because the 12 tribe sign is a conversation piece. A conversation piece is something that you put up and people look at it and admire it and say, "Oh, that's a nice piece." And that opens up the door to speak about that particular piece, where it came from, and who made it, and the craftsmanship of it. And that's what the 12 tribe sign is. It's a conversation piece that opens a door to be able to break down whatever, pretty much to break down who the tribes are. And that's a welcoming thing in for the tribes, because for a long time there's Judah don't get along with Benjamin, and Benjamin don't get along with Levi, and Levi don't get along with Simeon, and Ephraim don't get along with Manasseh, so on and so forth. But all that is bullshit, because the Lord broke right through that. You still have that in the world, but amongst the brothers you don't have that. The Lord is bringing back that brotherhood that he broke. When you read the book of Zechariah, it speaks about the Lord having the staff bands, and he broke the staff bands, and because he broke the brotherhood between Judah and Ephraim. And since that time, there's always been a division, a gap that the Lord is breaking. You know, it says, and Ephraim is as an heifer that is taught and loveth to tread out the corn, but I pass over upon her fair neck. I will make Ephraim to ride, Judah shall plow, and Jacob shall break his clods. Now let's look up that word clods. And we have to examine that scripture because that says a whole lot. Let's look up the word clods. And that's verse 11. The word clods is shaddad to harrow. Now a harrow is what? A clod is like a lump of clay or a lump of earth. Before you can actually farm something, you have to break that ground up. A harrow is like a plow, you know, and you would make those long trenches. So you were getting it ready for what? So you can add the seed to it. So this word going out there is what's setting the ground for the seed to be planted. And the seed that's being planted is the word inside of the minds of the elect. Okay? And that's what's happening right now. Let's see what else that we have in this one. So let's look up the word. Let's look up the word harrow in the Common Dictionary. And we're going to go as long as we can because I got to get ready to close because time is escaping me. The word harrow is a cultivator that pulverizes or smooths the soil. All right, draw a harrow over, like you had the what was it? Elisha, he was plowing with, what was it, 6 yoke of oxen, or was it 12? Might have been 12. You know, and that's what they were doing. They were breaking up the ground and getting it ready for the seed to be planted. You know, and that's what you see going on right now. This word going out there and the teaching going on out there. 12, okay, the water apostle. It was 12 yoke of oxen. And this word going out there and being taught was cultivating the land, which is the mind of Israel, for those that are part of the elect to receive this seed. You know, and that's exactly what's going on right now. It's a teaching, and the teaching is what's cleaning up the minds and bringing back the ones that are part of the house of David. That's right, he wasn't a mow. That's right, because you can't be a mower and plow. You can't plow with one oxen, you know, if you're a mower. So how much more? 12. That was a strong, manly type of man. Anyways, it's going back to Hosea chapter 10, right? And it says, so let's read that again, right? And it says the 11th verse, and Ephraim is as an heifer that is taught and loveth to tread out the corn, but I passed over by her neck, by her fair neck. I will make Ephraim to ride, Judah shall plow. This is similar to the Lord shall bend Judah and fill the bow with Ephraim. You know, because Judah and Ephraim coming together is bringing back of all the tribes coming back together, and that's what the dynamic is of this truth. That not only do you have Judah teaching, but you also have Ephraim teaching. You know, and Judah attracts all of the tribes, and Ephraim will attract the so-called Latin tribes and the so-called Indian tribes. You know, and that's what you see going on, right? It says, Judah shall plow and Jacob shall break up his clods. So that's the nation of Israel coming back together and breaking up those old ways and bringing Jake back to the right way, that the old paths, as it speaks of in the book of Jeremiah, the 6th chapter. Bringing back those old paths, bringing back the tribes together. And that's why that scripture in Ezekiel 37 is so important, because that scripture gives you the whole breakdown of what happened to us as a people and what the Lord did to stir the minds back up of Jake and bring them back into, you know, who they are, by bringing back all of the 12 tribes back together using that stick, you know, which is the 12 tribe sign. And no other no, if you waiting for those Old Testament heads individuals to bring out, the 12 tribes and to go out there and teach, you're wasting your time. Look, if you're waiting for them to go out there and teach, Yahushua will never come. All right? Because the scriptures say that, and I shall see thy teachers. Them guys have been underground since they came out. And they're still underground. At least back then, back in the 60s and prior to that, they were on the streets teaching, speaking. Because Rabbi Elder Albert Bivens was out there on a ladder speaking and teaching. Them guys were out there, but where are they now? They don't deal with the New Testament, and they don't come out on the streets. Where's the 12 tribe sign? Ain't that in the Old Testament? In the book of Ezekiel 37? Why don't they have a 12 tribe sign? Because they are not the teachers that the Lord said will come out. Thine eye shall see thy teachers. All right? Since I said that, I'm just going to flip it over just, just so ain't nobody seeing you. Well, you already know what I look like anyway. So let's go back, give you a better view. So it says, and Jacob shall break his clods. Sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy. And that's what's happening right now. Break up your fallow ground, right? Because it's time to plow. You can't plow in a ground that hasn't been broken up. And the ground being broken up is the minds of Israel, but you have to break up their minds with the right doctrine. That's why the scriptures speak about another doctrine. So let's look up this word fallow ground, right? The word there is nar or nayar, tillable or untilled or fallow ground, right? So a fallow ground is one that's either not tilled or tilled. And when you till something, you're breaking it up for the reason of being able to plant it. All right, let's look up the word till. Till. It says unstratified soil deposited by a glacier consists of sand and clay and gravel and boulders mixed together, right? So you can't do that. You have to break that up. Remove all of the things that are going to keep your crops from growing. The stones, the boulders, the just things that are going to be in the way. And just have nothing but that dark, rich, fertile soil. So that once the seed is planted, it can grow freely. The roots can take root, and the branches can sprout, so that they can give forth fruit unhindered. Because if you plant you plant anything in concrete, it may grow a little bit, but it's going to wither because it has no root. It has nowhere to grow. It says work land as by plowing, harrowing, and manuring in order to make it ready for cultivation. So the Lord is saying, break up your fallow ground. Now is the time to set that ground up, so that you can receive this word. And that's what's going on right now. You're seeing, you're witnessing this very thing in Hosea the 10th chapter happening right now. Because back then it wasn't happening back then, because we knew that we were Israelites. There was the differences between the tribes anyway, but we knew that we were Israelites. It's in this time that is happening. And if you're looking on the planet and you're seeing who is actually doing this, you can't say that anybody else is doing it, because no one else is doing this except for the men that are coming out of One West, what they call One West. The Hebrew Israelites that came out of One West, that have the 12 tribe signs, that have Ephraimites and Judites and Benjaminites and Levites and Manassites and all the different tribes within the camps teaching His word. So this right here goes hand in hand with Amos 9 and 11. How the Lord is building back the tabernacles of David, the breaches of the tabernacle of David that was ruined. He's building it back up as in the days of old. bringing back all 12 tribes together as one to reestablish the kingdom of heaven and to reestablish who the people of the Lord are. Because one thing that's going to take place here, you know, in America and around the world, is this scripture here in the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3 and verse 19. It says, behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee. And we're going through that right now, because mentally we're being undone from those that afflicted us. That's why in Isaiah the 10th chapter it says that the Lord, that we will no longer stay upon him that smote us, but that we will stay upon the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, you know, in truth. And that the anointing would break us free from this burden, from this yoke. So mentally we're being broken away from this. So the Lord is undoing those that afflicted us, and I will save her that halted. Right, we're the ones that halted. We're the ones that stopped functioning. We're the ones that are not recognized among these nations. Matter of fact, let's look up that word halted. Let's see what I've looked it up before, but I can't remember what it says. Let's go to the book of Zephaniah. Just bear with me 1 second. Zephaniah chapter 3. And this is heavy because I wanted to come up under here just to, you know, check it out. So that what that individual did, when he pissed me off, he just made me come up under here, which is beautiful. Everything is spiritual, man. Let's see. We're looking up the word halt. Heard that halted right here. Boom. The word there is tazalai, to limp, be lame, to limp, be lame, right? Somebody that limps and is lame, they call him what, a lame, you know, or no good. He's no good for nothing. So how will we halt? Because we were like that lame man that could barely walk, but now the Lord is making it to where we're able to walk straight. You shall hear a word behind thee. Walk this way when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left, because now we have the direction. Now we have the focus. All right, so going back, it says, and I will save her that halteth. This is back in Zephaniah 3:19, and gather her that was driven out. And we were driven out. We're not recognized among these nations. It says, and when the nations look at us, all they see is niggas, spicks, spooks, wetbacks, tontos, you know, slaves. That's all they see. They don't see, you know, individuals that are worthy, you know, individuals that are intelligent, that have something to contribute outside of being a fucking clown or a slave. That's all they view us as, entertainment. It says, and I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. And this is what you see going on right now. We're being given praise and fame in all the lands where we've been put to shame. And these nations are seeing it, and they're getting nervous because, you know, they're thinking that the Hebrew Israelite thing was going to be like the Muslim thing. You know, it will grow so much, but then, you know, it'll just fall into the background. Or like, you know, the so-called Christian thing, you know, or whatever the case may be, because the Christian thing is a joke. I mean, the Islam thing is a joke too, you know. But they thought it wouldn't amount to anything. They thought it would be like a fad that would come and go. Not even a fashion. A fashion, at least a fashion will stay, you know, for a while. But a fad comes and goes quickly. And they thought that would happen with this. But now they see it growing, and they see the seriousness of it, and they're seeing that the minions that they're sending to try to stop this word isn't working. Because unlike the people in the churches and unlike these minions that you're sending, the Spirit has us actually looking up stuff, researching things, you know, going through the scriptures, breaking the scriptures down correctly. Yahushua said that I will give you a mouth with wisdom that none of your adversaries shall be able to gainsay nor resist. And the scripture must be fulfilled. You know, the scriptures must be fulfilled. Bottom line. It says, at that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. And this is what's happening right now. We are being brought back again. We're being taken out of that dust, that confused state that we were in, that valley of the dry bone state that we were in, and sinews are being put back onto us, and flesh is being put back onto us. We're being placed in families now. We're being placed among our tribes. You know, like I'm from the tribe of Ephraim. I don't know. I could be from the tribe of Benjamin. I could be from the tribe of Naphtali. I don't know, you know. But from what I know now, I'm from the tribe of Ephraim. But the Lord is placing us that were solitary ones within families, within our tribes. He's building up the tabernacles of David that were falling. So he's gathering us. And how is he gathering us? By the word. Many different scriptures that go into that. And this is the very reason why the internet was created. This is the very reason why the Lord gave Esau the technology to build those satellites, to build these platforms where truth can be brought out. They weren't doing it for truth's sake. They were just doing it for information's sake, to pass information faster. But it worked out to where the Lord used that for the books to be open and the people to see all together. Because once the elect hear the word and it gets into their mind, then from there, the cultivation of it comes from the Most High. The Apostle Paul said, Paul planted, Apollos watered, but the Most High gave the increase. And that's what's happening right now. The word is going out through the four corners of the earth, and it's taking root and being effective in the elect. So it says, for I will make you a name and a praise among all the people of the earth when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem El Shai. So right now, we're being set in order before their eyes. It says that in Psalms the 50th chapter. And the Lord is bringing a great exceeding army of spiritual men teaching, and these devils are getting nervous. Because the truth that they didn't want to come out is coming out. The truth that they've paid so much money and hid for so long is coming out. And they don't understand it. Because even going back to One West, when the split happened back in 96, I believe that was, there was a few splits. You know, once King Masha and the rest of us were, you know, left from One West, they thought that once they infiltrated the main school of One West, paid them off, and caused the doctrine to be totally changed, that would be the end of it. And seeing that things went dormant from that time, you know, in their eyes, because the truth, you know, we were still out there teaching, but the word wasn't growing as far as being pushed on different platforms, because those platforms really were still in the making. So from the late 90s, we just had the public access shows and things like that, which really wasn't doing a whole lot, but we were still out there teaching. And then that whole time where we were in the wilderness pretty much from the late 90s into, you know, 2007, you know, and some Israelite groups came on 2005, 2006 on YouTube. That's when the truth really started to explode once again on the earth. And it started to take root as to where you see it right now. But almost 15 years later, another week and a half, you know, or so, it'll be 15 years since, you know, GMS has been on YouTube. And look at the growth, the exponential growth that has happened throughout the four corners of the earth, because that's the Lord bringing back the Israelites, because he done ripped up that fallow ground, and now the word is taking root, and it's causing things to happen, to move and to shake. All right, let's see. Now let's go to Revelation. From there, let's go to Revelation, because Hosea 10 and 10, we read about the, what was that? We read about the, just bear with me one second. Hosea 10 and 10, we read about the furrows, the two furrows. And the furrows are representation of eyes, meaning we were going to see together, right? Now let's go from there to the book of Revelation 3. And we're going to start at the 18th verse. It says, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, which is this knowledge, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, which is this knowledge, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. Right, because for a long time we were naked. We were shamed. We were in confusion. But now the Lord is causing the clothing, or he put the clothing on us, which is his identity. The same thing he did with Adam and Eve. He put his identity upon Adam and Eve. All right, that's what this knowledge is. It says, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that what? That thou mayest see. That's why it said that the Lord would, matter of fact, let me get that real quick. I don't want to lose this, so let me try to pull it up from the Apocrypha itself. Still got a few minutes, so 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 20 is the main point. I'm just going to go straight to the point. It says, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. Right, the firmament is a representation of the satellites. And the books being open in the firmament is the word being taught through these different platforms, information platforms that are out there pushing his word, throughout the four corners of the earth, so that they can see all together. Why? Because this is how this is the mechanism that the Lord is using to gather the elect. All right, so let's go back to Revelation 3. Now let's go to the 19th verse. It says, as many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. And that's why when the Apostle Paul said, Paul planted, Apollos watered, but the Most High gave the increase. Because once the Lord's words don't go out void. If the word goes into an individual and they reject it, guess what? The word of the Lord is still in effect, because that person already is set up for judgment. If the word goes into an individual and it's stuck there and they grow and they learn, guess what? The Lord's word is still is effective, whether they receive it or not. It says, behold, I stand at the... Oh, I'm sorry, I read that already. To him that overcometh what? This whole ordeal that we're going through, will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne. That's right. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. That's right. Okay, so let's see what else we got. I was supposed to read this before I went back to Hosea, but that's all right. We got Hosea. Now let's go to Isaiah chapter 35 and 1. We're going to read a couple of verses. It's a short chapter, but it's very important, because another thing we read in the book of Hosea, right? We read in the book of Hosea, the 10th chapter. Just bear with me 1 second. There was a point where we read, it said, the 12th verse, sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy, break up your fallow grounds, for it is time to seek the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, till he come and rain righteousness upon you. Yeah, because at one time we were very dry. Remember, the bones in the valley were very dry. So it says, Isaiah 35:1, the wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. Right, our minds were the desert at one time. We were the valley of the shadow of death. We were the valley of the dry bones. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our power. Why? Because the Lord is bringing us back to remembrance. Though we once knew this, by the men that he set up before us. Other men have labored, and we have entered into their labors. It says, strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Yeah, because these things are going to happen. Yes, we're in this condition, but the Lord is going to deliver us out of it. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your power will come with vengeance, even the Most High with a recompense. He will come and save you. Yeah, even the unjust judge, which is Esau in the parable that the Lord spoke, Even he knows that. Shall not the Most High avenge his own elect, which cry unto him day and night? Yeah. So this is what we're waiting for. It says, then the eyes of the blind shall be open, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Yeah, and that's what we're seeing right now. The tabernacles of David being restored. The fallow ground being broken up. The clods being broken up. And the seed being entered into it and then watered. Because you could do all that work, but if you don't water it, if the Lord don't cause the rain to come down, it's not going to, it's going to be of no effect. So it says, then shall the lame man leap as an hart. We just spoke about him that halted, right? And the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out and streams in the desert. And this is the waters that are breaking out and streams in the desert. Especially in America, because everywhere around the world, any other country outside of America, around the world, where this word is being taught, where there's camps being set up and this word being taught, and brothers have the 12 tribes sign, came out of the desert of America. When the Lord caused the floods of water to gush, Yahushua said, he that believeth on me, as the scripture have said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living waters. So we're witnessing the rivers of living water being gushed everywhere. That's why it's impossible to keep up with all of the videos. That's day and night word is going out. You could stay up day and night and still wouldn't be able to watch all of the videos. Because those are the rivers of living waters flooding the world and flooding the lives of this world. It says, and the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water, in the habitation of dragons. And America is the habitation of dragons. This is Esau's land, and eventually it's going to be a desert again once it's totally destroyed. It says, where each lay shall be grass with reeds of rushes, right? And rushes, right? Because the water cause what? Cause growth. So the cultivation has been done, and the water of the Lord is was causing the word to grow in each and every individual. It says, and an highway shall be there, right? And we're witnessing the highway right now, which is this word being taught on the highways and the byways, the broadways, and especially on the internet, going back and forth all over the world. It says, and a way, and the way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. Right, this is the way, walk ye in it when you turn to the left and when you turn to the right. In other words, stay on that trail, stay on that track. It says, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it. Right, Esau and the other nations ain't coming into this. And anyone out there, any Israelite out there that the Lord did not deem to be a part of the elect. Because even if they cross that threshold, eventually the Lord's going to remove them out. But it shall be for those, the wayfaring man, those fools shall not err therein. Right, because the Lord is changing our minds. Wisdom maketh a man's face to shine. The countenance of a man tells what he is. So wisdom working in the minds of men, even a fool, will start to make him wise. You could watch the movie Lawnmower Man, the guy that played Job. He was a half-wit, as they call him. And then eventually when information started to be pumped into his mind, he became more and more intelligent, and you could tell by his countenance that he wasn't the same as he was back when he was so-called, a half-wit. All right, so now before we read on, let's go from there. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. And we're going to just read real quick. Isaiah chapter 10. I'm sorry, Isaiah chapter 11. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me get a time check. Yeah, I got to close up. Isaiah chapter 11. You know what? I'm just in the interest of time, I'm going to skip through some of this. Because the Lord said he will. Well, I start at 12. It says, and he shall set up an ensign, which is this truth for the nations. Right, because Israel is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, which is happening right now, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth, right? So the Lord is gathering Judah because Judah is the head tribe and the other tribes. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. And you see that happening right now, the Lord closing up the breaches. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west, and there's going to be race wars, class wars, so on and so forth. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hands upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. Yeah, there's going to be some serious repercussions coming from, the Lord's going to make it happen. It says, and the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptians, the Egyptian sea, which is what? Which is all of these lies that have been taught, here in modern day or spiritual Egypt. And with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in 7 streams, and shall make men go over dry shod. In other words, the Lord is going to remove all of the lies and cause the elect to walk on their feet. Like if you have a big, a big body of water, and somebody, and the Lord causes it, just like the Red Sea, he split the Red Sea, and we were able to go over on dry ground. That's what the Lord is doing with this flood of lies. He's causing the elect to walk through the lies as if they're walking on dry ground, and the flood of lies is not affecting the elect, because if it was possible, they would deceive the very elect. It says, and there shall be an highway for the remnant of the people of his people, right? And this is the highway for the remnant of his people. It says, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that they came up out of the land of Egypt, right? So pretty much that's what's happening right now. The Lord is causing the elect to go through the lies of this world as if they were walking on dry ground, and it's not affecting them. So that's that highway that we read of in the book of Ezekiel 35:8. And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over. So now let's see. Let's jump to the 9th verse. No lion shall be there, because the Esau and the nations ain't going to touch us. I don't care what Elder Lahab says. Nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. So only the elect are going to really be able to walk this path and stay on this path. And the ransomed of the Lord shall return. Why? Because Yahushua gave his body as a ransom for us. So the elect, the Lord's will, we be the elect, are going to be able to stay on the path and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. So now let's go from there to Isaiah 41, and I may just leave it there. I had some more, but let's go to Isaiah 41, because they pretty much say the same thing, but just in different ways. Isaiah 41:17. I'll probably just leave it there. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, the Lord, will hear them. I, the power of Israel, will not forsake them. Right. I will open rivers in high places, and that's what we have going on right now, and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. That's right. And that's what you see going on right now. This word is a flood. It's flooding everything. I will plant in the wilderness the cedar, the shittah tree, and the myrtle, and the oil tree. I will set in the desert the fir tree, and the pine, and the box tree together, that they may see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua hath done this, and the Holy One of Israel hath created it. Right, because the Lord brought us back, through his word, through his men, back into the right way. And there's other precepts you could read that go along with it. You could read Isaiah 47, the first 5 verses go into it. That the water was to the ankles, and then the water was to the loins, and then the water covered over. And then Isaiah 44:1-5, which is pretty much Israel coming back. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me read that one. Isaiah 45 and 1. Thus, I'm sorry, not 45, 44 and 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, which is his knowledge, and floods upon the dry ground. Same thing. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed and my blessing upon thine offspring. That's why you see the elect waking up now. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourse. Why? Because the waters of the Lord are entering into the minds of the elect. One shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob. Why? Because we fell away. Isaiah 19 tells us that the Lord he will set up altars in the land of Egypt, and he will have us to speak the language of Canaan. It says, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname himself by the name of Israel. That's right, you know. So this has been the desolation and restoration of Yasharahla, you know, because, you know, we're witnessing the final, you know, analysis, or the ending of the ending of the story, so to speak, you know, which is coming. Now, the time of Jacob's trouble is going to be very vicious, but it's going to be necessary in order for prophecy to be fulfilled, in order for us to get to the kingdom of heaven, you know. So with that, you know, I pray that you brothers and you few sisters have been edified, and to the next time I say, Shalom.